Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead.
And the second one was in the Osaka, Japan. And as I said, I find it over the internet. And
Can you read English?
yes, sir.
Okay, continue.
So it was the A unit, 31 unit, and B unit was 16 of them. And C1, the grade of it, it was 3 of them.
Okay, when you say, you lost me. Okay, what?
We just had a fucking text. We don't have any numbers. The numbers were included in the text. To make a long story short, we just looked at how many units there are. They had A units, B units, and C units. I think together it's up to 51 or 49 units together. They rent the units, first of all. Second of all, they offer service. But
So these apartments.
the apartments, right.
Okay.
Apartments in a big building. So a lot of apartments on the first floor.
Got nothing to do with healthcare.
Huh?
Has nothing to do with
It
healthcare.
has something to do with Kelso
Okay.
because there are working 25 employees, and the employees are nurses more or less, and they offer the service. But also you can buy some meals, and they bring you meals, and they clean your house, and you have some additional, hobby rooms and all that bullshit. But you have two sources of money. If you are the company who owns it, you have the source of money for renting, you get the rent from the people, and you can offer the service. So, but we don't have any big numbers. We don't have a sheet or something like that. So what we did, we looked at the revenue per rent just in the average position. So we counted 31A units, 16B units, C units, 50. So how much we have to pay for all of this divided by 3. So we got more or less amount per month for average amount per month for the rent, only for the rent, not for the service, $1,082 per month. Then because it's 50 units, we multiplied it by 50. So we have $55 per month, but you have some vacancy there. So we we counted it 0 times 9%. So we thought, okay, 10% vacancy is more or less okay. We got an amount per month for almost 50K times 12. We had a revenue from 584,000 revenue per year for the renting service, just for the renting service. The same kind of algorithm we used for the service, for the healthcare service they offer, and there we got 140K. So in total, they made a revenue, just a revenue for 720K per year, plus minus, I don't know.
With no services.
No included.
Services.
The service is included.
And how much are you charging for the services?
It was 7 tiers.
They charged for the service 140K. 140,000, and for the rent they
So that's 140K for all the units?
all units, the services, but the average amount. So they had 7 steps for services. The first service was $79, and the last service $309.
We average it out, comes to $231.
Yeah, but just because we don't have any, it's also just a fucking business plan. So we don't have any real idea. But then we tried to figure out, okay, is it worth or is it not worth? So they had 25 employees. If you take a look at the employees, we did a little research. In Japan, a normal nurse gets $2,300 per month. And there are 25 nurses. We counted the 25 times 2,300, then we got 690,000. But most of the time in these kind of facilities, it's not a full-time equivalent. So we just guessed, okay, a lot of people don't work full-time there. So we counted it times 70%. So we got cost for the employees, 480K. Then we subtracted 720,
From 483
right?
to $237,000
So
a year.
a year.
And
They own the building. They own all the facility stuff around this, but they have to pay rent and maybe we'll have some additional costs. So electricity,
sewer,
water.
stuff. We just deducted $100,000 from the 237K. It comes to the estimate cost because we don't have anything on it. It was 137K, and we multiply by 3 times EBITDA. It comes to the $411,000. And it's the 19%. It's just a guesstimate, and it comes to the 19%.
And it costs what? I mean, the total package is
720.
no. These are for sale, right? The units, the 50 units.
No, sir.
Just for renting. You cannot buy this.
Okay.
It was just for renting, and we don't have the cost, how much they want to sell it or whatsoever. So we just added up through the numbers that we had. All of them are estimate. So we figured out the revenue is going to be 720,000 based on the numbers. And we said, okay, by the 25 nurses that we had over there is the expenses, and they're getting $2,300 a month, 25 of them. So we said it's a $690,000, their wages.
I follow.
And then we said, as he said, because he's in the healthcare, and we said not all of them are going to be full employees. So we did the 7%.
I got you. Okay.
It comes to the $483,000. Then over here, we deduct the $483,000 from $720,000. It comes to $237,000. Then we just said for expenses, just the expenses, electricity and every bullshit, it's $100,000, which I didn't write it here. And estimate cost was $137,000 with 3% EBITDA. We did $411,000.
It's not 3% EBITDA.
Yes, 3% EBITDA, 3 times.
So we would pay 3 to 5 times EBITDA for 11K or more, and
Then we what they call it? I forgot. Subtract the 137, divided 137 by 720. The EBITDA was 19%.
but it's just guessing.
Just
Because in the case we don't really have any great numbers.
Okay.
It's more of a company material that we wanted to apply some of the economic concepts. So we said if we were to buy this place, how much would be
I got you. Okay. So it's got, well, other than applying some QLA methodology, this has nothing to do with what we're doing. Or did I miss something? I mean, pervert, did I miss something? Oh, okay. I had to hear it twice. Maybe whenever I don't hear something clearly, maybe I am getting on scent dimension. So I'll listen to it one more time. If it's the same information I got the first time, then okay, fine, sit down. Okay, what was your question? EJ, can I have a pen, please?
You said this is a little on another level, but you went on the streets and found out what they're selling. I wasn't following at all. What the hell you were saying?
No.
What vehicle you were using to?
I used to, back when I was hungry. Not like you guys. You guys are flush. You're all living large. I understand that. But if you were hungry, when I was hungry, I used to, because the Wall Street Journal doesn't, on page 4 are all the deals for Dan Peña. Life's not that way. It's just like I found the refineries, blah, blah, blah. I used to look for shortages, supply shortages. They now call it supply line management. They didn't call it that back in the day. I'd look for where there's oversupply and undersupply and who produced it. And then I used to look at it geographically. And this was based on my experience from government contracts. Because I knew some government agency was trying to sell shit there sometime. Okay. So back in the day, municipal bonds were hot. And they were hot because the income you got from municipal bonds were tax-free. Okay? And in the United States, they were tax-free not only at the federal level, but at the state level. For example, Puerto Rico is a tax-free place where bonds are tax-free. So I went where old people like tax-free income. I don't, but most old people like tax-free income. And the hubs of that used to be Florida, Arizona, Nevada, and a couple other states I don't remember now. And I go and see their supply of tax-free income vis-a-vis municipal bonds that came from cities, state, counties, municipalities. And I developed a product that had similar tax-free aspects to it. We called it a tax-deferred annuity. I went and convinced an insurance company called Executive Life, a guy named Carr, C-A-R-R, was a founder of it, because he was always looking for new products. And I told him exactly what I'm telling you. And that there was an oversupply. All the municipal bonds got sold out in Arizona. Every single one of them. There was never an overage. So they like tax-free income. So the question was, would they accept tax-free income until they drew it out of the entity? Because if things that grow at tax-free grow a lot faster. Okay. And we developed a product, a tax-free annuity. But what you're really asking me is, I looked for where there was shortages of supply across the food chain. Food chain, I don't mean by food, across the marketing chain. And where I could plug in government supplies to fill that shortage, and that's what I went after. And that's how I found the oil refining business. And then I found it in financial service business vis-a-vis tax-deferred annuity. But insurance companies have got little interns, MBAs from big schools looking at markets day in and day out to see where all the products got sold. Okay, before Corona, face masks, you could buy them any place. Right? I mean, there's no big deal. Then all of a sudden, when everybody thought they had to wear one, I mean, there became a shortage of them, right? And a couple of my kids, QLA kids, have made a lot of money finding third world suppliers. Some of the suppliers didn't perform. India didn't perform. Belarus didn't perform. Russia didn't perform. But Japan did perform, and several other countries. And they covered the shortage. And almost every state in the United States, almost every country in the EU was on the market to buy face masks. Okay? So they matched up the buyers or the potential buyers with the people that were producing them. And then we looked at manufacturers. Well, who was only producing at 10 or 20 or 30% of their capacity? And almost everybody that made face masks was only producing at 10 or 20 or 30% of capacity. So then you match those. And that's how a couple of my kids got to be billionaires over Corona. But you have to have a lot of them because some don't perform. And you have to do it where there are not as few middlemen as possible. Because normally in a $2 or $3 or $4 billion contract, there's 5 or 6 or 10 middlemen. In other words, I know, you know a guy, and so that's one method. And there's some guys that just have done that all their lives. And it's the easiest to do with government contracts. It's the easiest to do with government contracts. And government contracts aren't just at the federal level. They're at the EU level. They're at the, however, Germany's broken up into, not counties, Bavaria is a what? State. Canada's got 12 provinces. Toronto's got government contracts for the hospitals, for the schools, that's why there's 10 million contracts a day in the United States. There's 1 million contracts a day in the UK. I told you a couple seminars ago, we had a guy get 2 contracts during the hardcore. He was already working on them. And he got one, no big money, 240,000 pounds for painting lines on the M26. M26 is a freeway down south. 240,000 pounds. He fucked it up. He went and hired not homeless people, but almost homeless people to draw the fucking lines, and the lines look like this. And so he wound up, instead of, he should have made 200 grand, he made 40 grand because he had to do it twice. Then he had to go get professional line guys to do the lines on the M26. And it's just going through and finding where there's a shortage in one area, there's an overage in another area, and matching them. And that's all it is. It's pretty fucking simple. I told you the story. I got stopped in the lobby of by this big tall Sikh guy in the lobby of the Ritz Hotel. And he said, please, Mr. Peña, I brought you a gift. And there at the concierge desk, he opened up his laptop to uk.gov, and he showed me all the contracts he was fulfilling. He says, it made me a multimillionaire. I said, yeah, I know that game. I know that game. He says, I don't know why everybody doesn't do it. I still don't know why everybody doesn't do it. But they don't.
You said 10 million contracts a day?
Yeah, in America, yeah. 10 million, millions. In the old days, they only did government contracts in April and October, 40 years ago. And paperwork, this is not much of an exaggeration. So when I went to Marion Refinery that was only operating at 40% capacity, you don't want to do business with the government because nobody wanted to do the paperwork. No matter how profitable it was, how bad you want it. He was getting a salary, $185,000 a year at the time, whether it operated at 100% capacity or 40% capacity. So then I went out and I knew there was a shortage of JP 4 and 5. And I said, I'll do all the paperwork, which I didn't. I hired somebody to do the paperwork, right? And in the old days, you had to have a registered, and if you're a minority with one eye or you're one tit and you're a vet and you got cerebral palsy and you got cancer, there's special dispensations, 8A, special dispensations, and the federal government and the UK government by law, by statute, by mandatory statute, have to do business, 15 to 20% of their business has to be placed with minorities. Has to, by law. And they go unfulfilled every motherfucking year. They can't find enough black people, enough Chinamen that will bid. I'm sure they got a deal for I'm positive. Fucking, if you came in with tattoos and shit all over, it'd be better. The Netherlands, by mandate, by law. But it's tedious. It's a pain in the ass. But once you get on that gravy train, people that I bid against in 1982 are still sucking that milk in 2020. Because once you get on that milk, that is sweet. You never want to let go. And then they put a limit. You can only do $10 million now. They set up 100 companies, all doing $9.5 million. As we speak today, I told you the Mad Dog guys, the two guys that sold the ammunition in the Iraqi war and went to jail? What? Yeah. In that room they sat. And graduation night, they're all bragging, well, we're going to fuck the government where it breathes. I still remember. We're going to fuck them big time. We're going to make you proud, Mr. P. But they went a little too far and they're in jail. And the thing about them almost getting killed in Iraq, that's all bullshit. They didn't go with the guns in the truck. That's all horse shit. They paid a moron to go do that. They sat back in the fucking Sheraton Hotel, but they made a whole bunch of money if they hadn't just. And then part of what they sold, they stole. That part of the movie's true. But I told you, Chris Josafowicz in 1996 graduated from Oxford, came to the seminar. I said, you ought not go home, change your name to Christian Connolly, go to Silicon Valley, and he raised a little less than $1 billion on 2 deals that had failed at Oxford. In their, biochem shit, failed. Both the fraudulent deals, he raised almost $1 billion in Silicon Valley. And then he bid on the government contract in the green zone. I already said this, during the Iraqi war. And and he won it. He underbid everybody by 6, 7, 800 million. And then he hired G4 to do the contract. And then he went on, it's easy peasy.